quick cautionary disclaimer, compliance statement there. The presentation itself is on the ASX platform. There's nothing new in it outside of some updates to what we've been achieving really and released in the last month on the ASX platform. To look at the investment highlights, and for those people in the audience who aren't familiar with the Bellevue story, we're developing one of the highest grade global gold discoveries in the last sort of 4 to 5 years. We're sitting on a 3 million ounce resource. We announced that last week, the update from 2.7 to 3 million ounces at 9.9 grams, just under 10 grams. The typical gold deposit around the globe at the moment is running around 1 gram. Typical underground deposit will be sitting really at that 4 to 4.5 gram per tonne head grade. So what we are sitting on here, Bellevue, in a Tier 1 jurisdiction, is a fantastic asset, fantastic opportunity. In February this year, we released a Stage 1 feasibility study. We will be updating and coming to market this quarter, in the September quarter, with an update to that study. That first Stage 1 study saw us positioned as a top 25 Australian producer. What you'll see, obviously, with that update later this quarter is us move further to the left. It's been a fantastic achievement by the company and all the members of staff today to achieve what we've achieved at the project. That initial mine life sitting at a 7.4 year mine life with optics, I think at some point in the coming years to 10. It's very rare to have a deposit, particularly an underground gold mine, that has those kind of optics attached to it. So we're pretty excited here within the business. That Stage 1 study saw a life of mine production rate running at around 150,000 ounces per annum at a bottom quartile, $1,079 an ounce. Again, what that will generate for us at the project is an EBITDA margin running at around 2,300 per ounce Aussie gold of around 63%. It's worth noting the gold price this morning sort of was touching above $2,440 an ounce. So certainly from a margin point of view at Bellevue, the sole focus of this business is free cash flow generation, exploration, and generating returns for shareholders. To look at the IRR on that Stage 1, 58% IRR, generating $1.1 billion of free cash in the first 7 years. This project is going to be a cash-generating machine. We'll be generating over $1.6 billion of EBITDA over those 7 years. And again, the most important thing that we'll be doing in this business is generating free cash. The studies are all optimised on free cash flow. It's the sole focus of this business. The resource growth since the discovery hole 3.5 years ago, the 3 million ounces, we've been discovering around 70,000 ounces a month at the project, month in, month out. It's a fantastic rate of discovery. We've averaged a discovery cost of around $21 an ounce. And to look at, I guess, what we're looking to do here at the project is leverage our competitive advantages. We're blessed at Bellevue with it 28 kilometres of existing underground development that we have at the project. We're currently doing re-entry works. We are now 200 metres vertical below surface. We've done over 2.3 kilometres of underground development. And the project will, I guess, from a capital intensity perspective, be paid back in the first 1.4 years of production, which is a fantastic achievement for us. We've got a huge focus on ESG at the project. We've got a desire and a vision within the business to be Australia's most profitable green and gold miner. The project itself will generate an economic value add in the first 7.4 years of $1.8 billion. The majority of I guess, that $1.8 million will be staying in the WA economy. It will be, I guess, from a point of view of a deposit of scale and note in WA, probably one of the biggest mines to come on in the coming years, especially from a gold perspective. In terms of emissions intensity, running really as Western Australia's lowest emissions intensive mine. We've got a desire, again, to push further left with FS2. There's a slide in this deck that I'll run you through quite quickly that highlights where we sit. The project will employ over $380 million, over 380 people during construction, steady state averaging over $250 million, and being an underground gold mine, we'll have minimal land disturbance again, which is a huge tick. Strong cash balance. You saw us announce yesterday indicative offers from our 12 banks that are bidding on financing the project. What you're seeing, I guess, from the debt providers is a huge tick of confidence. Obviously, they've got access to all our data at the project. We've been, I think, quite vocal in our marketing of the story because we know that the opportunity that we're sitting here Yesterday's announcement saw 12 banks looking to provide between $170 to $289 million of capital towards the project, adding in our cash balance of $94 million and a pre-production capex figure off stage one sitting around $254 million. We're sitting in a fantastic position to develop this project. We've had obviously those 12 banks independent views looking at across and pouring across our data. We'll provide further updates, I guess, over the next 3 to 6 months on how that process is unfolding, but a huge vote of confidence. You've seen a large amount of de-risking at the project really over the last month, and I'll touch on that in the coming slides. Two things to take from this image here. I think the stock sitting at close to $1 today represents a great opportunity, back roughly 50% from the record high that we achieved in December. Probably something to note on this slide in particular, what you've seen is a big tick. I touched on what the banks are doing behind the scenes in the project, but the world's largest resource investor, Evie Hambro and their World Gold Fund at BlackRock, have bought roughly 4% of the stock in the last 6 weeks. It's another big tick. So you've seen probably in the last month from us here at Bellevue a large amount of de-risking. The banks getting behind this project and also BlackRock buying 4% on market is a huge vote of confidence in the stock. Our dual track strategy is performing fantastically well for us. It's the sole reason we're in a position to upgrade that study. We're upgrading that stage one study in under 6 months to an FS2 study. That's the study that we will take into production. We announced 3 weeks back that we're looking at increasing the mill from around 750,000 tonnes per annum, closer to that 1 million tonne per annum run rate in our design work. Obviously, you'll see a resultant increase in production, but we've achieved that in under 6 months. It sort of goes to help highlight the opportunity we have here at Bellevue for further growth as we push forward into production and come out with a study that will have significantly increased economics on top of that stage one study. Moving back, probably just touching on that slide, that uplift as we continue to de-risk and move closer to cash flow. What you'll see is obviously the stock starting to trade on more of a cash flow basis than a basic MPV, and that's really where the producers really sort of look to trade anywhere between 6 to 10 times EBITDA. We will look at participating in that uplift, and the stock will trade, in my opinion, closer to those multiples as we continue to de-risk the project. The management team, a credit to the board and Steve Parsons, our managing director, he's made, I guess, a big transition in the stock over the last 12 to 18 months. And from a management point of view, Craig Jones, our Chief Operating Officer, Craig and I worked at Northern Star for over 3.5 years together. Craig's doing a fantastic job on the team. Madison Kramer's joined in a full-time role as well. Rod Jacobs as project director. Rod's done a fantastic job in his previous roles at IGO, optimising the Nova nickel discovery and that study work they did on Nova by around 30% increase to the MPV. Set up the deflector mine, that's one of Silver Lake's now flagship assets. Amber Stanton is due to start with us on the 26th of July as well. Amber will be coming on in general counsel and joint COSEC role. So it's fantastic to see a team here that can really push this asset into production. To look at the location of where we sit in Norseman-Wiluna Belt, you've got 7 other deposits that really are between 5 to 10 million ounce deposits. The Bellevue mine, we sit 35 minutes drive from Leinster, sitting on granted mining licences. The 800,000 ounces that were mined at 15 grams in Bellevue between 1997 and 2007 were mined from one lode. We've gone and found another 10. They all sit in the top 550 metres from surface. That's where our 3 million ounces sit at the moment. And we haven't really started exploring the deposit at depth. We've stuck 4 holes beneath the deposit and 3 were mineralised. So what you'll see over the next 12 to 18 months is us as we continue to develop down the project and down that decline is to start looking at some of the depth extensions. We will be really excited to report that to market later this year. Our study providers, they're all household names here in WA. Entech are doing a fantastic job. Rod Jacobs was working from Entech. Rod's that confident in the project that he's moved across from Entech to work obviously now full-time at Bellevue. It's another big tick. You're seeing a gentleman that was involved in the decisions externally jump into the Bellevue story. So it's a big vote of confidence, and it's great to be using all these tier 1 providers into that stage 2 study as well. I touched on de-risking events. We're setting the project up for success here at Bellevue. If you look at those first 3 points on jumbo meters, TKM trucking rates and stope and fill tonnes on a bogger basis, what you're seeing there is those numbers compared to industry standards are sitting close to 16% below industry standards. We're setting ourselves up here for success at Bellevue and really sort of putting a study out. That FS1 study was quite conservative. We're setting ourselves up again for success. To date, what you've seen, I touched on 2.3 kilometres of total advance in the underground. Our single heading development rates have increased from 160 metres a month up to 230 metres per month. It's a massive tick. Our underground drilling rates, again, we've got currently 2 rigs drilling from underground. On a 24-hour cycle, they should be pulling roughly around 140 metres in a 24-hour cycle. Jeffrey Muir and the team at AUD are doing a fantastic job. They pulled 309 metres 2 days ago from underground drilling, and that's providing us with a fantastic level of information. Give some optics on our long hill drilling rates. They're drilling in great ground, and it's another de-risking event. It's probably worth highlighting. The Bellevue Stage 1 feasibility studies in an Excel spreadsheet. We've currently been mining this deposit for the last 12 months, so really hitting our straps and hitting the ground running. In terms of grade control, with some of the best results I think you would have seen hit the exchange in the last 3 years. You've got 5 metres at 76, 5 at 31, 5 at 30, 2 at 48, 5 at 17, 3 at 24.8 grams per tonne out of that Tribune grade control open pit works. All that is, I guess, showing that from a resource perspective, it's giving us, obviously, in the market, increased confidence in what we're seeing at the project. We'll continue to update the market on those de-risking events as they come to hand. On production, it's giving you a quick look at where we sit on Australian Gold Mines. Expect to see us move further to the left on FS2. On cost, expect us to deliver a study in FS2 that sits in that bottom quartile on cost. And that's what's generating our margin. And again, it's the only thing we're focused on here at Bellevue. It's EBITDA margin and free cash flow generation on a per ounce basis. They're the things that the equity analysts will value us on, is how much free cash we can generate. And obviously, we're pretty excited by coming out with a study in September this year, or this quarter of September, on an updated FS2 study. To look at grade, sitting at 8 grams on that maiden reserve. Obviously, that's something that we're sitting in an enviable position, sitting behind Fosterville there at 8 grams. We will have an updated reserve to the market that will form part of that FS2 study. The project will generate over $580 million of free cash in the first 3 years of operation. Again, as I touched on, we'll be generating a lot of free cash, and it's going to create a lot of optionality in terms of our capital allocation decisions post paying that debt down. To look at where we sit on an ESG basis, we're sitting in second place there. We have a desire to be Australia's lowest gold mining carbon emitter on a per ounce basis, so expect to see an update on FS2 on that. To look at resource growth, we've achieved a phenomenal amount of resource growth, an 84% CAGR since that discovery hole 3.5 years ago. That the indicated resource has increased 40% up from stage 1. What generated that 690,000 ounce maiden reserve was that million ounce indicated number. That indicated number has increased by over 40%.
1 more minute, Luke.
Thanks, Amy. Into stage 2, and obviously that will form the basis of what stage 2 looks like. I touched earlier on playing a little bit of catch up. Again, the deposit just hasn't been drilled for 20 odd years. Your average Western Australian Archean low gold deposit has exhibited to date a 26-year life of mine operation. So at Bellevue, we've got some catch up to play with some fantastic grade to work with. So we're pretty excited. Quick call to action here. I guess it's us leveraging our competitive advantages on grade, scale, profitability, growth, a strong focus on ESG and ability to push this project forward with a strong cash position. And obviously from a debt funding point of view, we're in a great position there. That's it, Amy. And just a quick shout out to all those people in Australia currently in New South Wales and in Victoria. I think given what's happening with COVID at the moment, everyone's dealing with some tough times. So all those people that are online, all the best and stay healthy. And Amy, thanks for your time today.